This is the eHealth Radio Network, your source for health advice on demand. And now your host, Eric Michaels.
Thanks for joining us once again here on the eHealth Radio Network. This is your host, Eric Michaels. Today on the program, we're visiting with Chia-Lin Simmons, the CEO of LogicMark, a NASDAQ company which provides medical alerts, remote monitoring hardware, and SaaS services. And Chia-Lin, thanks for joining us here today on the eHealth Radio.
Thanks for inviting me, Eric. How are you?
Doing great, Chia-Lin. Really great to have you with us, and looking forward to getting an update on LogicMark and being in the know per your industry and expertise. So, as we know, we will soon be experiencing the largest group of aging seniors. Are we actually prepared, you think, for these large numbers, and how will this impact caregivers looking ahead into the near future?
I think that's a great question, Eric. It's literally the largest shift in demographic that we've seen in decades. We have 10,000 baby boomers turning 65 daily. By 2040, we're going to see close to 1 in 4 Americans that are 65 and over. And, the shift is actually sort of interesting as well, because as we're experiencing this sort of aging population, that really sort of creates a situation where 1 in 4 millennials and more than half of Gen Xers are taking care of an elderly loved one. And I don't think that we're really prepared. The technology industry, for example, in medical alerts and the sort of remote monitoring business hasn't really evolved very much in the last, few decades. And so we've got a situation where it's a little bit of a perfect storm, where you have a growing, demographic of people who need help, and technology that hasn't really quite innovated for the last, couple of decades. And we actually have a pro caretaker shortage of all things. And so that by 2030, we're going to have 150,000 shortage of pro caretakers. And by 2040, more than 350,000. And so we are definitively not ready for the surge.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Certainly some serious numbers right there in information, and time to take action. Hopefully it's not too late now. Chia-Lin, tell us a little bit about your company's product that helps people live more independently.
Yeah, we have been in the sort of medical alert and remote care business for quite a few years. And so, we were actually, ironically, an innovator in the early days where, in the days where these products came out of home securities companies, where you really had to be tied to a recurring monthly sort of billing model, because, the companies that started these things were, in home securities, and they have people already monitoring your home. That was a really big challenge for a lot of, senior folks who are on low income or fixed income. And so we were one of the first to create a no monthly fee, fixed price, product that would allow you to go directly to 911, saving you precious time to get to the medical help that you needed. There's something called a golden hour in a medical term, where, between the time of your fall and the first hour, if you sort of come outside of that first hour, your medical outcome is a little bit worse off. And so we were one of the first to get you directly to 911 without an expensive fee. And, what's been exciting in the past year is that, myself and the new team that I brought on board, we've been in the IoT, in artificial intelligence and machine learning space for quite a few years. And so we're actually trying to bring some of that innovation of connected home, connected sort of IoT products, and intelligence, predictive analytics into caretaking at home, which we think will help actually, the seniors live more independently. And we're doing that by basically helping them reduce false positives for these devices to not constantly say, hey, are you okay, all the time, which doesn't make you feel independent at all. And to also make these devices more wearable. For a very long time, these designs, they don't look like anything that you and I would want to wear on our bodies. They look like a little remote control, garage opener wearing around your neck, right? So we wanted to bring it up to speed to things that look more like an iPhone, or things that we feel comfortable carrying around on our daily lives. And it makes people feel like they're less, I guess feel like they're less not part of the society that we currently live in today, right? Because just because you're aging doesn't mean that you're any less part of the society as a whole. So,
isn't that the truth and a fact right there? I'm glad you even brought that up. That's certainly a strong takeaway already. Now, looking at the veterans, are we actually overlooking our veterans, and how can your technology help veterans, and how are you actually working today with the veterans?
Yeah, wow. So you cannot meet a company that is more focused on our veterans. We have been working with the Veterans Administration since 2013. We're proud sort of vendors to our the largest health network in the United States, which is the Veterans Administration. We're the number one, I think, provider of this product, this type of product category to the Veterans Administration and to our veterans. And so, yeah, I mean, we provide these fixed sort of like no monthly fee product because we really are trying to serve a huge population of veterans. You know, most of the veterans that end up with one of these devices, they basically are alone at home for a good chunk of time. And so, you know, having our product actually gives them a sense of independence and gives their families a sense of, you know, I guess, security as well, that their loved one is being taken care of, and that should anything happen, they could just push one button and they can get to 911 immediately. I mean, it's probably one of the best things about working at this company is because we get feedback from the veterans that we've worked with throughout the years about how we help save their lives. I believe there was one veteran that had used our products 4 times, which breaks my heart, but also makes me, you know, happy that we were there for him when he needed us the most. And so, yeah, we've been providing these services since 2013, and we're thrilled last year to get a GSA contract, which actually allows us to extend the sort of work that we've been doing with the Veterans Administration across other federal agencies, as well as into states and municipalities where we can also serve senior citizens as well as veterans and other folks who are vulnerable.
Chia-Lin, really appreciate this report so far and really are appreciative of what you are doing in the space as well today. We're speaking with Chia-Lin Simmons, the CEO of LogicMark, a NASDAQ company which provides medical alerts, remote monitoring hardware, and SaaS services here on eHealth Radio, Senior Care and Technology channels, a part of the eHealth Radio network. Now, your company, LogicMark, is leveraging some new and emerging technologies in your business, I understand. Is there something you might be able to share with us today in those regards?
Sure, absolutely. So I come to this company with, I guess, a couple of sort of years of experience in the AI ML space and IoT products. The VP of engineering that I recruited for the company, he and I actually put out, all things, a connected car product that was installed into Honda, Subaru, Porsche, and millions of vehicles, 50 plus countries, and so forth. And so we're bringing that same sort of technology innovation into the sort of home healthcare space. And so you'll see us basically try to build something that we have been calling the CPaaS system, that's Caring Platform as a Service, kind of like SaaS. And we're doing that by basically creating a HIPAA compliant sort of cloud-based infrastructure that would allow us to connect our devices and the data, the information that we're gathering, and also work with potentially third parties as well. For example, a blood pressure monitor company or a blood glucose monitor company, to basically pull together that data to get better at helping your caretakers, whether or not that's a friend and family or a pro caretaker, to get better at ensuring that you're in better health. And so for example, let me give you sort of a sort of scenario. If we were seeing low blood pressure from you and low glucose level, and then we're seeing that you're actually not very active using our devices, for example, that could actually give us a better indicator, predictive analytics around the fact that you may be much more, prone to a fall. For example, maybe you get a little more dizzy because you have low glucose level or like low blood pressure, and then you're not moving around so much. And so that really indicates for the caretakers that perhaps we need to put, a walker in place or have you looked at and checked out. And so we want to be not just a company that is reacting to a fall incident, and again, I think it's very crucial for us to actually get better at understanding what that looks like, but also being able to predict that, look, things don't look quite right. And so maybe you need to see a doctor or you need to sort of have enhanced services and help, right? And if we look at also some of the new technology that we're rolling out, one of the major aspects is what exactly is a fall? So if you look at today for iWatches and you look at things like, other sort of, medical alerts devices, everybody talks about having fall detection. We actually have the IP on fall detection for measuring distance. And why is that so important? I mean, that's important because, if you look at what iWatches and some of these technology use today, they use something called accelerometer, which is speed, right? And gyroscope, which is tilt. And so, I can share sort of a story that for my mother-in-law, for example, she and I went to have lunch at a very popular restaurant. She sat down too quickly wearing one of these devices, and immediately the device has a false positive and it goes off and it says, "Mrs. Becker, are you okay?" And of course, she's mortified because, tons of people sort of turned their head and looked at her, and she's just feeling just, embarrassed, right? And that actually happens with a level of frequency that people don't talk about. For every case of an iWatch, you hear about, helping somebody, get to the 911 in time. They don't talk about all the false positives and people who turn off fall detection because they're giving you too much false positives, right? Things that are actually not a fall, but they actually called it a fall, and it sort of bothers you, and it sort of triggers, lots of calls, and it becomes sort of a situation where it makes you feel like you're, again, outside of the norm of, your everyday life. And so being able to get better at that is really crucial, eliminating as much false positives as possible, getting better algorithm around AI and using AI ML around fall detection is crucial. And we have the patent to add a third factor to this, which is basically measuring the distance. So that means that if you're sitting down, even though it's fast and it's tilted, you're still sitting down versus a fall. And so we've actually in the past year filed a number of provisional patents that we are feeling very confident about that actually will help us actually even get better at fall detection, so that we can actually look at multiple factors so that we can actually predict and better understand whether or not this is actually a real fall or whether or not this is actually a false positive. And so, for example, understanding that if we contacted you at 10 o'clock and it looked like it's a big distance and it's speedy and it's a tilt, but you said, "Hey, I'm doing yoga," and it's 10 o'clock on Tuesday, and we ask you again on Thursday and you're doing yoga again, we know Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10, you're doing yoga, so we're not going to trigger again. Right? We need to be smarter, and we understand that in your sort of, everyday life is not a fall. And so this is what people aren't doing and should be doing more of in the sort of space that we're in today, is to basically bring that type of new innovation and technology that we're bringing to the table for fall detection and home care and, medical alerts. So.
Well, that certainly is taking it the extra mile. Some good information and a great example to back up your statements and information as well. As we conclude, is there anything else you'd like to share, a takeaway, a tip, or anything else you'd like to mention along the lines of our conversation today?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, for a lot of folks like myself and a lot of us out there, we're part of that sandwich generation. We're taking care of our young ones and we're taking care of our parents. And, we get a lot of help to a certain degree, for taking care of our children. I was telling somebody, when I got pregnant, there was lots of offerings about coming to my house and baby proofing my house, with technology and all of these things in a package, right? And you have 9 months, often to sort of practice and get ready for this. Often when our parents are, in a situation, it comes on you really, really quickly and you don't feel like you have a resource to go to. And so there's not a good package to put together that you can actually help make your parents feel like they can live independently and for you to feel secure. I think the most crucial thing that we really like to offer as part of LogicMark is that we're there to help to basically offer that security net for you as well as your parents are aging, and hoping to age gracefully. And so we are really in the process of building together this package so that, when these things come shockingly fast sometimes, that we actually can bring you a suite of solutions, not just sort of one solution and two solutions that you have to cobble together, with your siblings and try to coordinate with all of them, but that we offer a complete solution to you as you're helping your parents age gracefully and as you sort of help to provide that safety net for them to do that as well. And we look forward to working with folks along those lines, because I think what can be more important than to help, our aging loved ones. There's a lot of them out there, as we talked about in the beginning of the discussion, and there's a lot of us out there, that 1 in 4 millennial and the more than half of Gen Xers who are facing this. And so, we this is part of the mission of the company, and we're here because, we are experiencing that ourselves, and so we want to bring the best solution to everybody out there, because it is absolutely a necessity in our culture, in our society.
Again, Chia-Lin, we want to thank you for taking a moment to be with us here today on eHealth Radio, and certainly appreciate what you do in this space on behalf of LogicMark. Where can listeners get further details on LogicMark and also a way to be in touch as well?
You can find us at www.logicmark.com. That's LOGICMARK.com. And you can find us on Twitter and Facebook as well.
And of course, we'll leave a link within the show notes of this broadcast to make it most convenient for the audience. Again, Chia-Lin, all the best. Great to have you here on eHealth Radio, and look forward to our next conversation.
Thank you so much, Eric. Appreciate it.
And you're more than welcome anytime. We've been speaking with Chia-Lin Simmons, the CEO of LogicMark, a NASDAQ company which provides medical alerts, remote monitoring hardware, and SaaS services. And for all the details, simply visit LogicMark.com. And again, this has been your host, Eric Michaels, and we do thank you for your continued support of the eHealth Radio Network. Join us again soon for another episode that will help further expand your knowledge on those things that are important to your health and wellness. For more eHealth Radio reports, we invite you to visit our main radio channel site at eHealthRadioNetwork.com. And as always, we do thank you for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in to the eHealth Radio Network. For more information or to subscribe to this podcast, visit eHealthRadioNetwork.com.